Welcome to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott. Join us every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Learn more about the Experience community at our website, local.theexperience.video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Experience is brought to you each week by these great sponsors. Buddy Puckett at Guild Mortgage, 698 12th Street Southeast, Suite 100 in Salem. Give Buddy a call at 503-851-8031 and find him online at guildmortgage.com. The Aspects of Aging weekly talk show with Christine A. Smith. Unscripted conversations with experts. Live every Monday at noon Central on LinkedIn and YouTube. Learn more at agingbetternetwork.com. BestEntrepreneurSolutions.com. Nancy Bakke helps business owners attain their goals, create new business opportunities, generate higher conversion rates, and increase customer values. Learn how you can work with Nancy at BestEntrepreneurSolutions.com. And now let's get on with the show.
Hey, let's get on with the show. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to The Experience Live with Russ and Scott. I am remote, as you can see from my car, but we are on the move. It doesn't matter where we are, Scott, right? We can do this show and be a blessing to everybody and give you value today.
Yeah, I was thinking about taking a picture of the car and using it as a virtual background so that fool people and say, yeah, wow, your lighting is good. You sound great for being in a car.
That's amazing. Amazing. Well, it is just a great day today. We have an amazing guest coming up, but we just want to welcome everybody and let you know Scott and I are here every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 9 a.m. Texas Standard Time on The Experience Live with Russ and Scott. And we have the most amazing guests, as Scott would say, friends that just continue to bless us over and over and give you such great value, and it can be a blessing to you as well. So engage today. Jump into the comments, share this with your friends, let everybody know what's going on, because you know what? Even if you can't or they can't be here live, you can still engage. If you're watching on replay, put hashtag Team Replay. We would love to have you be engaging, even if you're watching on replay. And you go to the Experience, local.theexperience.video for more information on Scott and I, on all of our Experience shows, including this show, The Experience Live with Russ and Scott, Monday's show at 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, which is The Experience Local. Also, The Experience Backstage we have every Wednesday morning before this on Instagram only. Want to check that out. And Scott has the Waco Experience. They're in Waco, radio show, doing awesome. Hiding behind him there. So, yes, not hiding too well. It's very, very out there. There you go. So, yeah, please check that out today. And please join our YouTube page. You can do it either way, but you can go directly there by going to theexperience.video. Today, we would love to have you do that and just engage. Share this with your friends today. I'm telling you, it makes a big difference because people need a little reminder, right, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we want is subscribe to the YouTube channel, click the little bell so that every time we go live, you'll be able to get a notification. And even if you're not able to watch it at the time, you'll know that it's there. And subscribe to Russ's YouTube channel because he's got Marketing with Russ 2 times a week and Russ Reels. And this week, Thursday afternoon, depending on where you're at, it's a panel discussion on AI. And you'll want to join in on that, and especially in the comments. We want to hear what you have to say. What are your experiences? What are you looking forward to using AI? And what are your concerns?
Yeah, it is. It's going to be an eye-opening show for me, too. I love that. It's a great way for me to learn from experts as we do these shows. So awesome. So anyway, Scott, what else you got going on this week?
Well, I tell you, it's a busy week. Got lots of things going on. Couple of different lunches with groups, some of the different media outlets in town here. So I've been looking forward to that. I'll be over at Startup Waco a little bit later this morning. They always have great speakers and good networking opportunities. And then I've had fun recording. I'll be recording this later this week with a third generation family business right here in Waco. And then yesterday I got to record with the founders of the Waco Film Festival, which has been winning awards. There are thousands of film festivals across the country. They're like in the top 10, and they're in their 9th year. So that's coming up this summer, but it was a great time to interview them.
Yeah, that's so awesome. It's great opportunities to meet amazing people by doing things like this. The live streams and opportunities, it blesses them, but it also blesses us. So yeah, we are lucky as can be, Scott.
We have the best guests, and I think we should get right into that.
I agree.
Baz in.
Got so much great information. We had such an amazing conversation. The more we talked, I thought, man, I have got to get this guy on the experience. So, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, please. Brrr, welcome, Baz Porter. Hey, Baz.
Good evening, good morning, wherever you're from. It could be the evening, depending on where you are in the world. How are you, gentlemen?
So great to see you this morning, Baz. Let everybody know where you're coming from today.
I'm actually living in Colorado, just outside of Boulder. So it's a cloudy day here in the midsummer, which is nice, just for a change instead of being 100 degrees and sweltering.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that you didn't grow up in, well, of course I know this already, but I'm guessing you didn't grow up in Boulder. But we're going to let you right now introduce yourself. Tell everybody who in the world is Baz and what are you up to and where you grew up and all that. Just a little info on you.
Sure. Thank you. First of all, thank you, gentlemen, for allowing me to have the space with you. I'm obviously Baz. I'm a transformational guide more than a coach. And I started off life in London, and then I came from there, joined the British Army at a very young age, did 9 years, came back from that, and then became a DJ in Cyprus for nearly 10 years. This was before the age of post-traumatic stress, mental health, etc. And I became a drug addict, alcoholic, and eventually became homeless. Through that time, 10 years moved on, and I had to pull myself out of a rut. What it was actually doing was forming what I'm doing today. And I'm actually a transformational guide for high executive women who are looking for that next level, and they are basically stuck through their emotions, through their patternings. Everything that I teach is grassroots. So it's not about academic education. It's about real life experience and then helping them with a specific result in mind. I use my former experiences with drug addiction, alcoholism, and now human behavior to help people design the lives of their dreams. Things don't come easy, but they're always worth it at the end. And then after traveling the world on donations in 2019, I did 33 states in the US. I then met somebody that changed my life for 3 days and then flew to Australia. And I traveled around Australia doing the same thing. And she flew me back into 2019, where I started a business, and I grew that business from $7 to 7 figures in about 14 months. In the September of 2019, myself and my wife got married. It wasn't planned. This is pre-COVID, but by the way, so it wasn't. The world wasn't in a mess as it was. And I started to get in front of people and in the most uncomfortable rooms in the world. I eventually became a platinum partner with Tony Robbins, and I started to help people. And I learned the hard way. I lost 7 figures, rebuilt it, lost it again, because that's what entrepreneurs do, apparently. And then I'm rebuilding again, because what I do, I love. And I love transforming people's lives, helping others really understand not just their capabilities, but their place in life, and also the possibilities. Why women? Because when I walked into these rooms, I found I intimidated a lot of men. It's not because I'm big or loud. I still can't understand it. But I found that women gravitated towards me. And it wasn't because of my looks or I was English. It was just an energy that I had, and women trusted me. So I started a podcast as well, which is called Rise from the Ashes. And it's about your stories, having you on a bit like what experience is. Your stories, who you are, and then elevating you in the world. And that grew from just a podcast or having conversations into a podcast. I've now just done over 100 episodes.
Well, congratulations on hitting 100. That's a good milestone and a good platform to sit on. I want to go back into the post-traumatic stress.
Sure.
So when we hear that term, when we think of it, we immediately jump to those folks who have been in the military or first responders who go through different events. But this post-traumatic stress happens more often than I think we would like to admit. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. You're correct. It does. But let me go to the difference, because there's a lot of hype about post-traumatic stress and acute post-traumatic stress. So it doesn't become post-traumatic stress syndrome until it's after 30 days. People have experiences and they're no less or more than any others. They can't be identified. It's up to the person who's had the experience to identify what it is. What I found was it was and for me personally, it was a challenge of not being able to process the event. And that manifested in different ways: emotional anger. It was very narcissistic behavior at the time for me. I became actually the person I most despised. But the root of it was I couldn't process or understand what I went through. Now, you can have post-traumatic stress by going through a car crash or having a fall. It manifests in different ways. But like you said, Scott, it's normally associated with ex-military, EMTs, paramedics, fire, police force. I've known police officers have this as well, massive amounts, because we don't think about what they go through in daily lives. They're out there protecting us, doing a service for the public, and they go through horrific experiences. But they're not widely thought about going through PTSD. But they have just as much trauma and subjected to this a lot more trauma than some military. It's a different sort of environment. That's all it is. But essentially, it's not being able to process the events that we go through or people have gone through during a challenging period of their time. And it manifests in different ways. I had flashbacks, I had nightmares, cold sweats. Still to this day, if I smell rotten meat, I still smell that for a week, 2 weeks. Even on the changed clothes, had a shower, I can still smell it. And it's one of them things that you just never really recover from. You can manage. And I've done all sorts of therapy. My wife's actually a therapist from Kaiser Permanente for 13 years. She was in charge of the whole of South Bay in LA for the intakes. So she's got so much experience. I've been through, trauma, recovery, and all the rest of it. I mean, I don't do drugs now. I don't drink now. I'm very clean in my lifestyle, but it comes with dedication and knowing there's the other side to it, and not being caught in the story that we create for ourselves.
There's something I really love about the fact when people take their life experiences like you, and they really have the perspective that wanting to help other people and and pull them out of situations they would. And I think we all go through situations, Baz, and I know you agree, for a reason. And you've used that for the reason to help other people and women, that are going through these situations where they need someone. And we are definitely better together. I always say that. We
Yeah.
need a good coach. We need a good mentor. We need somebody that can speak to us. And talk a little bit more about that. And people maybe that are thinking, well, I got all these problems, but I would love to help people. How can I be a part of something like Baz is? Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Firstly, I never set out to be a coach, transformational guide, whatever you want to call it. I didn't know what one was. When I first arrived in America, I didn't even know what really entrepreneurship was. I didn't know marketing, sales, anything. What I realized was very, very quickly, from being sort of thrown in at the deep end, people would resonate with stories, and they would resonate with people who they could see themselves or aspects of themselves in. And there was a lot of hype at the time about all these gurus. Well, I was a part of that network. I was a part of the gurus, but what they were doing were giving watered down information from their own experiences and putting into another sales funnel. And they weren't solving the core issues, the belief systems, the values, the principles, the rules on life, etc., etc. I wanted to be different, but still give something extremely valuable that they could take away that was tangible and move into their life without going, I've got all these tools, I don't know what to do with them. People give you marketing tools, but without the context, you don't know what to do with it. You can give you sales information and how to guide you in a script of sales. But all it comes down to is knowing who your audience is. Everything else is just the noise around it. What I realized was the more you get to know the person you want to serve, you want to help, the easier it is to have a conversation with them. It isn't about comparing this product to that product and I do this and all these fancy things. That is irrelevant to the person listening, because all the person listening wants to know is, what is it going to do for me? How's it going to improve? And how do I use it? What's next? And a lot of the things that people were doing, certainly for me at the time, were very service level. So what I tried to do was create something as an experience, but tailored to one person. I get lots of people, but it was tailored to one specific person. And I didn't know who that person was until about a year ago, I suppose, maybe 8 months, because I had to go through a load of trial and tribulation to get to that, who is my client. And I thought I had 7 different avatars and I was doing this product and that product and this over here, and I have 7 different landing pages, and it wasn't working because it was too much noise. So I stripped everything down and came to one person. That's the person I serve now. And I know her core fear. And I took a script out of Coca-Cola. For 100 plus years, they had one person they were marketing to. They didn't have 7, they didn't have 3, they had 1. And if you have a look at the adverts across the years, they didn't change that much. They were just a woman in the kitchen, watching in the summer, a blue collar worker cutting the grass, mowing the lawn, cleaning the car, doing mechanics, something very simple that people can relate to, or in this case, a woman can relate to, a housewife, a mother, the girl, the lady who is so blended into the environment, you wouldn't notice her. But she's at home cooking. She's at home cleaning the house. And she's in the kitchen cooking, preparing meals, and she looks up and there's a guy outside taking his shirt off, drinking Coca-Cola. That was the advert for the last 50 years, since TV began. They only changed it very recently, and they put 2 women in the house, and all they did was, "Would you?" And the girl went, "I would." That was it. It was simple. But people complicate humans. They think, "Oh, I'm going to give them this because that's what I want to give them." If you can get one product, do what you're good at and what you most enjoy. I enjoy watching people smile. I enjoy watching people thrive, but generally thrive because they can pass that information and knowledge on to the next generation. It's not about now. For me, it's about causing a ripple effect for the next generation to learn from our mistakes. We've made enough.
I like the narrowing down that avatar to the one person. We've talked here on this show in the past about John Lee Dumas, and in his book, The Common Path to Uncommon Success. And he talks about defining his avatar, and he was very specific about it. It wasn't, I'm speaking to males between these ages and so forth. He named him is Jimmy, and
Yep.
Jimmy, very specific commute time, family, occupation, so forth, right? And every time he was making a decision about his show, he would say, "What would Jimmy want?" And that's why he went 7 days a week, because he's like, Jimmy needs this every day, right? There are days he'll miss, but he needs that content. Not every broadcast should be 7 days a week, because you're maybe not speaking to Jimmy. So I like the way that you've defined this down to that one person. So how do people find you? How do you get connected with these women who have experienced this this stress and need your help?
That's a great question, Scott. And this is the challenge I had for a while. Anybody who's successful for any level are never putting their hand up in public space and saying, "I have a problem." They just, whether it be male, female, they just don't do it because they've built this fortress of public approval. Nothing wrong with that. So I had to break through a saturated market with coaches, consultants, people saying they could do all these things. Most of them, in my own experience, because I've interviewed 400 women on LinkedIn of my ideal client avatar, said that it was falling short and they were missing something. And I said, "So what did you want?" So the scenario was when I elevated the business, I sent out 778 messages, voice messages on LinkedIn to my ideal clients. I handpicked them. It took me 2.5 months to do this. And I thought, well, if I'm going to get a response, I'm going to get a response. 443 people responded. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot of time. And some of them responded, "What are you telling me?" Some of them responded to me, "I haven't got time." Some of them responded to me, there was crazy stuff. And there was always an objection. I said, "Look, I promise you, it's just 10 minutes and it's 3 questions. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm doing market research for specific people. And this is going to be turned into a white paper. It's in process. And if you want, I can name you in the white paper. It's going to go public. But I'm really wanting real life feedback from people like you who've lived the journey from corporate in that process into entrepreneurship. They're 44-ish years old, because some of them were, some of them weren't, because it's LinkedIn. And I promise you, I won't sell you anything. The response was overwhelming. I had 414 interviews with my ideal client. And they were saying virtually the same things. They weren't heard. They weren't seen. They were afraid to reach out for help because of the judgment from people. And then I thought back to one of my early interviews. And before switching the podcast to 2 episodes, I used to do an hour-long interview. And it was far too long because I've done research since then. But there was a rape survivor. She was a 5-time rape survivor on my podcast. I didn't know. I was like, whoa, pause. Are you sure you want to continue? She said, yes. After the interview, she said, this is the first time I've spoken about the experience. And I was in tears. I was like, it was quite heavy stuff. And I said, why did you share that? She said, I felt heard. I felt safe, seen, unconditionally loved, and you didn't judge me. And I remember that from the interviews in the same sort of different contexts, different scenarios. So I said, well, why aren't you putting your hand up and asking for help? What's stopping you? She said, we don't want to be seen as weak. And I remember I put all of this information to good old ChatGPT and AI, and I did 4 deep research sessions. And I hope when you do the next show on AI, you talk about deep research because it's phenomenal. Put the prompt in, answer the questions, do the research because it's gold informing what happened for me personally next. So I took all that research and validated it. I then built a product. Who else is doing this? Who has a model that's proven? Validated it. Who has a price point that's proven? Validated it. And these aren't competition. I don't believe in competition. I believe in abundance. There's enough to go around. But every time I validated something, I realized that it wasn't what I wanted. It was built in the aspect and what the client or my ideal client wanted and could easily afford. I'm not talking about what's in a bank account. I'm talking about what credit she's got access to. Because everybody who's scaled didn't go for the bank account. They go, oh, what credit do they have? What are their credit scores? How much have they got access to? AT&T did this. Apple did this. When they launched the iPod, yeah, they said, I don't want the bank account. I want to give them an option to go and get their credit and help them build their credit as well. That's why when you go in there, you get contracts because they're not going from your bank account, they're going for your credit score. That's how you help and you sell to many at a marginal price because it's affordable for most people.
Right. And I love that too, Baz, because you care about people and they're seen and heard, and that's why they're attracted to you because of what the kind of person you are. We need to do an entire another episode because you have so much good information, but we have to wrap it up for today. So I need you in the next minute to give me your gold nugget point of this conversation today, what you really want people to remember, and then let them know how they get in touch with you.
Sure. Firstly, thank you very much for having me. You're both amazing. Thank you for holding the platform, doing everything else for other people. Get hold of me quite simply by going to bazporter.com. There's a lot of free stuff on there. You can get hold of me there. There's the coaching there as well. If you are building something or you want to move yourself, think about the result you want. I always tell people this and I ask people to do it, even my clients. Build a day of your dreams. Write it down from the moment you wake up to when you go to bed. But imagine the day without any limitations. No financial limitations, no relationship limitations, no limitations whatsoever. You can go anywhere in the world. Who would you see? What would you do? What would your business look like? Who would you be in your staff? And build that as an absolute final result. Never think that you are limited to just one area in business or one area in life, because the possibilities are endless. As soon as you raise the bar for yourself and pick one person, not a niche, but one person. For me, that person was a female. She's 44. She's gone through an emotional affair. She's had abuse as a child, whatever that abuse looks like. But she wants to do better. She's a CEO, C-suite operative, VP, but she has aspirations to be an entrepreneur because she doesn't want to be in the corporate world. What do you really want? If you want to check me out, I'm on LinkedIn. Baz Porter on LinkedIn, obviously. And YouTube, Baz Porter again. But have a conversation with me. Go and sign up for the free meditation, 5-day, completely free, and I won't sell you anything until the last day. Promise you that. It's not about sale. It's about understanding who you are.
Right.
So bazporter.com, and just have a conversation with me. Thanks for having me,
Well,
guys.
it was an amazing conversation that you and I had, and this again today, amazing. So thankful that you're here. I got a few hounds in the house. We want to say go hounds, and all three of us here on the screen are hounds. We're so thankful for Mike and that whole organization. Baz, we're gonna schedule you on again. I appreciate you for being here today. I got to say goodbye to you here on screen. All your information is on there. Everybody can click it, and you guys just go to the comments or the show notes, click on it, go straight to Baz. Super simple. We would love for you to do that. And Baz, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you. Well, it's always encouraging to see people taking their own experiences and making it available to help others through that. So, Baz, well done.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my goodness. He's really doing some amazing stuff. And the longer we talk, the more I'm like, wow, this guy's amazing. And working with people like Tony Robbins and all of that is just amazing. You know, if you want to be better, get around people that lift you up and make you better. Baz is one of those today. So anyway, thanks so much for being here today. Don't forget, we're here every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time for your viewing and listening pleasure. That's right. After we go live, it sits on the platforms, LinkedIn, LinkedIn and YouTube forever, Facebook for 30 days, and it becomes an audio podcast, so you can listen on Spotify. We'd love for you to do that. And until next week, have a blessed and amazing, amazing week, and enjoy
the experience.
All right. See you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to The Experience live with Russ and Scott. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.